Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine, Bachelor, and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to animal rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Welcome to another episode of the E&G Podcast Special Interview Edition. Once again, on this episode, we interviewed Leah Block. You'd remember her from Ben Higgins' season of The Bachelor. She was the one who is most popular for talking crap behind Lauren B's back, calling her phony. And we had a great conversation with her, right, Ian?
We did, man. And honestly, I like Leah so much more after that conversation. She was super funny. She opened up into her background, how she got on the show, which is actually a really hilarious story. A little bit of the interview process.
Another new story about how someone got on the show. They're all different, always fun.
All different, all fun. She's also coming up on Bachelor in Paradise, and so we talk about Paradise a little bit as well. And we also tease the fact that she may or may not be in love with our boy Robbie Hayes. So it was a fun conversation.
There was a lot of teasing going on in this interview, so we really enjoyed talking to her. She said she would jump back on after she's been on Bachelor in Paradise, and we look forward to that too. So hope you guys enjoy it.
Hello.
Hello, Leah.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the E&G Podcast. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Ian, say hello, and then we'll get into some fucking questions.
Thanks for your permission, Jeff. What's up, Leah? Happy Friday.
All right.
Back to you, buddy.
Well, listen, we don't want to take up too much of your time. It's a couple hours. So, real quick, first off, we just want you to talk about this. I saw on your Twitter that you're a chef, or like you make cute little food recipes and fun stuff, and you tell people to follow you so they can see that. Is that something you've been doing, or you just started doing, or can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah. So on Snapchat, I love to cook. Okay. I've always wanted to go back to culinary school, but it just hasn't happened yet. It might just take some cooking classes. Might be easier, but yeah. Every time I cook something up at home, which is pretty much every day, I will on Snapchat, show the steps to make it. And then I also have a blog that needs to be updated, but it's called tastygains.com. Okay. And I put up a bunch of protein recipes, so everything is protein related. Oh. So, yeah, I love it.
There you go. That's Chad's favorite website.
Right? Yes.
Your dad's a chef, isn't he?
Yeah, my dad was a chef. I grew up in restaurants, so that's very cool. What's your favorite dish to cook, Leah?
Oh, gosh. For some reason, I really like making soups. And I just kind of throw things together, and somehow it just comes out really well. Like, one time I made a spicy tomato matzo ball soup, which is super random, but it was delicious.
Matzo ball? Are you tribe?
Yeah. What?
Are you tribe?
Am I what?
Tribe. Are you Jewish?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my tribe, yes.
Oh, good. I am too. Half the podcast is. Ian's not, so he doesn't know what the hell's going on right now.
I like matzo ball soup. It's delicious.
Yeah,
spoken like a true goy.
Oh, geez.
So spicy tomato matzo ball soup. That sounds very good.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's go. What were you like growing up? Is that your dog?
Yeah.
No. I'm surprised my dog's not barking.
Unprofessional goy on the podcast.
That was my dog. Sorry, guys.
What were you like growing up? we want to know if you were a cheerleader, tomboy, bookworm. Were you awkward? Were you popular?
I I was a dancer growing up. I think I wasn't really a part of the popular group, but I wasn't, like a nerd. I kind of was. I've always been the type of person to be friends with everyone and have, a bunch of different friends. So whenever I have a birthday party, it's like nobody knows each other because it's all a bunch of just random people. But my brother, he was definitely like the most popular football player. He was a senior, I was a freshman, and everyone knew me as like Adam Block's little sister.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
So is there any way you can get him on the phone and maybe you can get off? No, I'm just kidding. He sounds really cool. I like that guy already.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Nice. So you had an older brother protecting you in high school. That's got to be a weird dynamic if you're trying to date, right?
Right. No, it definitely was. And I actually dated somebody in his class, and he was not happy about it.
I can imagine.
Was it one of his friends, or was it like a rival of his?
It was definitely not one of his friends. Completely different friend group. So.
And what was the age difference? Your brother was 2 years older than you?
4 years.
4 years? So you were a freshman and he was a senior?
Yeah.
Oh, I would be pissed too.
Yeah, I like him older.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. So, and we'd also noticed that you've been hanging out now offline with some of our friends like Robbie. And so we had Robbie on a podcast. He's a great guy. Who do you keep in touch with from the cast? Like, what does your circle of friends look like from the Bachelor crew?
And who do you not hang out with because you hate him? Go ahead.
From my season, I mean, we actually have a big group of girlfriends that still talk. We're doing a Vegas trip here in a week, which I'm really excited for. But my closest friends, I would say, are Lauren Himley. She's awesome. We're very similar. Fun girl. And Amanda Stanton. She's the mom for my season.
Oh, she grew up right where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Not exactly, but yeah, like right. I grew up in El Toro. She, I think, is from Laguna or Santa Margarita or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. So I'm definitely close with those girls. And then I've met some of the guys from Caitlin Bristow's season, and being on now the new show, I met some of the other guys from JoJo's season, and yeah, Robbie.
So who is going to Vegas? Lauren and Amanda? Or a big group?
Amanda's not going. Lauren's going. A bunch of girls. I mean, there's probably 10 or 11 of us going.
Jeez. And it's all from your season or just multiple?
From my season, yeah.
Wow. So you guys are really keeping in touch.
Yeah, for, once in a while, you kind of fade out from it, but we'll do like group trips, and it's fun.
So, I know if there's anything you can't answer, just be like, oh, I can't say anything about that. But are there? We know you're on Bachelor in Paradise, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if you can't answer, it's fine. But it seems like this Bachelorette, like the seasons, a lot of friendships, and everything. Is there any inter-dating going on with someone from Caitlin Bristow's season, or now JoJo's season? You could definitely say pass.
I don't know.
All right, that's a yes. Perfect.
I'll say, the Bachelor Nation is so wonderful. I mean, it's great because it's kind of like a big family / Greek life. Because
well, that's the thing. I mean, it's nothing to be weirded out of. I mean, you're all a bunch of good-looking people, and you're all hanging out, and you're all the same age. I mean, how could it not happen?
It's like online dating is so popular. Why not? Utilize what you can with this group. And I think if you can find someone out of it, then hell yeah.
Right. I remember in your interview because we just were looking at stuff, going back over it for The Bachelor, you said you don't meet guys because the gym's a bad place, bars are a bad place, and online dating sucks. So now you have all these bachelors to choose from. Right?
I know. I actually told myself after this is all said and done that I was going to try and stay away from it, but you just never know. I've met some really cool guys out of it, and if we're friends, we're friends. But I don't have great luck with meeting guys. It might be because I'm just picky or whatever. But yeah, so we'll see.
Okay, and so let me see. There's a couple like easy ones here. On your interview, you said you hate feeling cold. You like hot weather, but you live in Denver. So How does
Yeah.
that work out for you? One of the colder
Well,
places.
I know. Luckily, well, I guess it's kind of global warming, but we haven't had very many bad winters in the last like 5 years. It hasn't gotten cold like it does in the East Coast. You know, it gets cold, but it's not that freezing wind chill like it is with humidity. We have a very dry temperature here. And so it's not terrible, but I hate the feeling of getting in my car, just freezing, and I feel like my heart is just pounding. It's going to burst out of my chest because I'm so cold, and I'm just shivering, and it's awful. Nobody likes that feeling.
Right. Okay.
So let me
Okay.
go ahead. Let me tag me in here, Jeff. So Leah, one of the questions Jeff and I have been asking everybody too, because the answers are so different and they're really interesting, is how did you end up on the show? So initially with The Bachelor, what was that process like? Were you discovered? Did someone submit for you? Can you just talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, so actually a few years ago, it was on Brad's season where Emily Maynard ended up with him for a short period of time.
Yes.
My cousin was on that show, and it was one summer she told us, and we all got to wear these Team Lisa shirts, and it was really exciting. I was probably about 15, 16 years old. Or no, yeah, 15, 16? No, it must have been a little bit older than that, because this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was like, you know, if I'm single at 26, 25, 27, you know, around that age, why not? If I actually am interested in the guy, I'll try it. And, you know, years passed and I never did it. But I was in Israel for birthright.
Nice.
And I thought about taking some footage there in case I did try out that next year. And so I did, and never ended up making a video, and never, you know, ended up applying. And then I watched Caitlin's season, and I was really interested in Ben. He hadn't been chosen yet, but he lives in Colorado, you know, really cute guy, seemed fairly normal and not, you know, in it for fame or anything like that. And so I thought, why not? And one day I was watching the show with some girlfriends, and we were definitely a little wine drunk. And I got on the website just to check it out when I saw the commercial saying, you know, if you want to be, if you're eligible to meet our next Bachelor, you know, apply online. So I go online, and there's one option to do, you know, the full video and all that. And then there's this short version where you just submit one photo and, you know, in a couple sentences say why you want to be on the show. So I guess I did that. And I vaguely remember doing it, but I have no idea what I said. It was with my friends. They're like, you have to do this. I'm like, okay, whatever. Great. Let's do this. And sure enough, the next day, one of the producers called me, and I still have the message on my phone because I just didn't answer. It was a number from LA I didn't know, and he left me a message saying, hey, Leah, we got your application. There's actually a casting call in Denver this, you know, next weekend, and we'd love it if you'd come. And I was just cracking up because I didn't even really remember that I did that. And I called my girlfriends, and they're like, you have to do it now. I mean, this is obviously meant to be, of course. And so
Of course.
I went with a bunch of girlfriends, and I think that they were maybe looking out for me because when you get there, you get a number. And I was 69, of course. I get 69.
Okay. You can expand on this if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah. And we go sit down, and all of a sudden one of the producers comes up to me and asked me if I had gotten my photos taken. And I said, no, I just got here. We have to wait in line. And they were only on number like 34 or something. So we had a while. And long story short, this lady takes me, and I cut every single line. I'm in and out of there in 20 minutes. They take me into an alleyway, start taking photos of me, and it was weird. I was like, what is going on? It went so fast, and they ended up telling me I couldn't go back in because they gave me this manila envelope. I had no idea what it was. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll wait for my friends outside, like at Starbucks. And I waited like almost an hour for them. And they got out, and it was just so awkward because they knew I had gotten to the next step. And like, what do you say to that? Sorry.
Wow. So you got like the ticket, you got the golden ticket just right away.
Ticket. Yeah. It was just crazy from then on out. Yeah. It was wild.
So during this casting process, is it true then that you twerked against a wall in your Bachelor interview? Whose idea was that? Like, so how did that work?
During casting weekend, I was, you know, in this cute little short, like tight dress for my interview, and it was my very first on-camera interview. and one of the producers asked me to describe myself like in one word. And I think I said goofy. And he said, okay, well, what do you mean by goofy? And I'm like, I don't know. And the only thing that I could think of was sometimes I get upside down and I do the touchdown twerk because I'm a huge Broncos fan.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I do the touchdown twerk. And of course, he's like, okay, show me. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm in a dress with like a slit very high. I'm like, haha, good one. He's like, no, like, do it. And I ended up in my heels, in my dress. I got on the wall upside down. It was twerking on camera. And all the producers saw it. I didn't know that, like, they could see, all the other producers could see me on camera, but they were all watching it, like, live.
Watching live, nice.
Yeah, live.
And what is the YouTube link to that footage?
Right? I know. I want them to give it to me.
I definitely did some audition. I told Ian last week I did an audition where I was like, dude, they made me rap, and if I could just get it to show you so we could laugh about it, it's so bad.
Oh, man, you should get that.
There's some dumb stuff that you do in auditions. I want to know, were you close with JoJo during your season, and what were your thoughts on her when?
Yeah, actually, JoJo and I were close. She was my bunkmate when I was at the mansion, and she's hilarious. I definitely could see her being the Bachelorette when we were there. At the beginning, I had no idea how far any of us were going to go, but I definitely thought after the fact that she would be it, and I thought she would make a great Bachelorette, and she did. She was awesome. She's perfect. So, yeah, I'm proud of her. I'm really proud of her.
Okay, and so we have to ask about this because a lot of people, and we know it's reality TV, and we know that there's a ton of editing. Ian and I always talk about that, even when we do like recaps. We're like, was this really like that, or did they make this person look this way? So they definitely portrayed you towards the end of your stint as someone who is basically just talking shit about Lauren Bushnell, Lauren B.
Yeah.
So what was Lauren B really like? You could just go ahead and tell me as much
honestly,
as you want.
like, all I'll really say is that Lauren actually never did anything to me directly. You don't see everything that goes on in the house.
Of course.
And things are said that aren't aired. And it was more of a defense thing. I was standing up for my friends because she said a few inappropriate things to them, and I got upset. But there's a lot you don't see, and what I'll say is Lauren and I are friends, and people think I hate her and want, her to have a terrible life, but no, we're actually friends, and, we all got along great, and I think, the edit that I got was not who I really am, and I have to just laugh it off later because they have so much power, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into when you sign that contract.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So when you say she said inappropriate things, was she just kind of was she a little snobby to the other girls, or?
She just made some comments that were just, I don't know if it was because she was intoxicated or what, but it was silly, and it was something I should have just gone to her about, but, you're caught up in the moment. That was a very, very hard week for me in the Bahamas. And I was all sorts of, full of emotions, and it just kind of got out of hand. But really, like, there's just so much more that that the audience doesn't see that I can't even try and defend myself. So I just kind of let it go and let people talk crap and just move on.
Well, go ahead, Ian.
I was just going to say, so what's that like? I mean, we've had a chance to speak with a couple guys now, and just in terms of downtime, it looks like, they spend a lot of their time working out, doing laundry, taking naps, just kind of hanging out. What did you guys end up doing during Ben's season? What was a lot of your downtime spent doing?
If I could say one thing that we did was painting our nails. We would sit there and paint our nails like 4 times a day. If one nail chipped, it was like, oh, well, gotta paint all the rest of them again because we have nothing else to do. And we went through so many bottles of nail polish remover. It was like the one thing on our grocery list was to get more nail polish remover. It was hilarious.
And do you guys have drinks flowing that entire time? Obviously, the guys, I think, well, I guess Lace too, maybe a little bit. Your season was a little bit of a boozer, but how did that work? Like in terms of just the alcohol situation in the house?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was something that was readily available at all times. I pretty much drank every day. I think. A glass of wine, it's just, there's nothing else to do. So we would eat. We all gained weight, every single one of us. If you look at, the beginning, the very first night, we come out of the limo, we're all skinny and looking our best. And then at the end, we go on the date, we're all just like not in tip-top shape.
Is there no gym at the house or the mansion or anything? There's nowhere to work out?
There's no gym at the mansion. So that was really hard. And I remember me and Olivia were really the only two people that A, like asked for protein ever, and B, like wanted to work out. All the other girls, just wanted to lay out, and which was fine, but I knew if I didn't work out that, I was going to get out of shape quickly. And so we would just kind of make up little workouts and do whatever we could to, get some sort of exercise in. But there was one gym inside of our hotel in Vegas, which was amazing. It was so cool, but it was like this ghetto treadmill and a couple of dumbbells, and it wasn't anything special. So,
it's so interesting, right? And that's what some of our listeners always ask is like, if you get people on, ask them what they do during their downtime behind the scenes, because you have to assume you get that many people in a house, you throw in some alcohol, and people are going to talk some shit. And I think that you see a little bit of that on camera, but was there people during your season who just couldn't stop talking about other people? Was that a problem amongst the girls?
I mean, girls are catty. I tried to stay out of the drama, and honestly, I was out of the drama the entire season up until like my last day there, basically. But I mean, I definitely think there were certain girls who weren't crazy about other girls, but for the most part, we all got along, and we kind of it was very weird. I mean, we're all talking about our conversations with Ben, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad you had a great day. Like, I'm so happy for you. But really, like, you want them to go home.
I mean, that's what's so interesting. It's like the guys, Robbie's big thing was you kind of have to compartmentalize. You can't think about the other guys, but with girls, I mean, it's a little bit different. You guys chat, right? So it's like, right. I could see that really blowing up. So that's super interesting. There was a couple of personalities your season too. I think someone like Olivia got maybe a little bit of a bad rap as well. How was your relationship with her? What was she like behind the scenes?
Olivia is a very nice girl. I think she's a little misunderstood, but, she kind of did it to herself in a way, not as far as like the editing of the show and how much she was shown, that was out of her control. But we were all there for Ben, but she wanted nothing else, she wanted to do anything that she could to get that time with him. And it was, at the end of the day, I was like, shoot, I should have done that, but I think she means well. I just would never, ever want to compete for a man with her ever again. She's a little controlling, for sure.
What was it like when you showed up and you see the other girls? And I always make fun of my wife with this because any girlfriend I've ever had, my wife, girls to me have always been, if they're your friend, girls are always like, oh my God, my friend Ashley, she's beautiful. Ashley's okay. And then there'll be a hot girl that she's not friends with. She'll be like, why does she think she's so cute?
Yeah.
So when you showed up to the house, what was it? Were there certain people that stood out to you like, okay, that person's stunning, or she's going to be competition, or this girl seems bitchy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was so intimidating. I can't even tell you. I was pretty confident going in. I'm thinking, why wouldn't this guy like me? I love sports. I live in Denver. He says he likes Blake Lively. I feel like I am similar to Blake Lively. I don't know, with my hair color, I'm taller, and super confident going in. And then all of a sudden, even getting in my limo, JoJo was in my limo, and I'm just thinking, oh God, this girl's smoking. And I get to the house, and it's just so overwhelming. You feel like crap. You're like, oh my gosh, I have no shot. There's so many beautiful women, and your confidence just goes, to zero. But there were definitely a few girls that stood out to me night one. I don't know if it was their dresses or what, but even Lauren. I mean, Lauren Bushnell, she's beautiful, but I didn't really even notice her the first night. She was wearing a very plain blue dress, and she just didn't stand out to me until, a week in. And then I was very intimidated by her. She's a beautiful girl, and we have similarities. We're, both tall blondes, and, until a couple weeks in, I just really didn't notice her. And, I think a lot of girls were very nice to me and said, they thought I was really pretty the first night, and so that made me feel good. But I felt like I was never fully myself because I was always intimidated by the other girls.
Who specifically did you think were like front runners right when you walked in?
I thought Amanda was really pretty.
Okay.
And I thought, Becca was there. I'm like, oh, great. Becca's perfect. Like, I'm screwed. She shows up. And, Olivia looked stunning the first night. We all thought Olivia looked amazing. And, yeah, I mean, there was so many of them. There was a couple girls the first night that went home the very first night that I thought were beautiful. This girl, Jessica, was stunning. And she went home. I'm like, what? Like, why am I here? And she's not. So.
Right. Yeah. How well did you get to know Ben?
Not very well. I really didn't know much about him. Every time I talked to him, our conversations were very surface level. I could tell pretty quickly that he wasn't engaging with me like he could if he was really interested. Right. I think he tried the first couple conversations, but, he never really tried to get to know me on a personal level. Darla, come here. Sorry. And I could just tell that, wasn't going to be me at the end. Probably in Mexico, I figured it out.
Right, because you never got a one-on-one, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's kind of crucial, I think. I mean, if you really want to get to know, it's got to be hard if you're on a group date and everyone's. I mean, what do? You either act like somebody who's kind of hamming it up to get attention, or you just kind of fade to the background, right?
Exactly. No, I called myself the group date groupie.
What did you know from any of the other girls? Because the thing that's interesting, I mean, they do a really good job on the show. I mean, people are falling in love, supposedly, right? So there's never any on the show. There's never that much deep conversation. Like on JoJo's season, she talked to Jordan about his brother and why he doesn't have a good relationship with his brother. But there's never. I mean, in real life, once people get serious, it's kind of like, hey, what are your political leanings? What about religion? If we had kids, like so. Ben, I think he was pretty religious, right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so I just told you, I'm Jewish, and I would talk to the producers, and we would just agree. I just had such bad luck. Every conversation I had with him was just it was hilarious, but so wrong and so bad. This is so funny. One conversation I had with him, none of my conversation with him aired, probably because they were just so ridiculous that they just couldn't air them. So one time we were talking and he asked me, he said, just tell me one thing about yourself. And I'm like, okay, one thing, what one thing I'm going to tell him? And the one thing I thought of was, I said, oh, Ben, you know how you love fish? Because he had posted about fish on his Instagram and said how he loves fish.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, my family had a fish farm. I was like, yeah, exactly. So I'm allergic to fish. And he goes, oh, no, that's such a bummer. And I said, oh, but don't worry. I'm only allergic to bonefish. I can have shellfish. I'm not allergic to shellfish. And he goes, oh, crap. And I was like, what? He goes, I'm allergic to shellfish.
And then you were just like, Lauren B's fake. I got to go.
I go, okay, and that's my cue. Have a great night. Jeez. And for some reason, he still gave me a rose that night. So lucky me.
Wow. Any other weird interactions like that?
With him? Oh yeah. One time I was just so nervous. We had a really awesome bidet in Vegas, right. And it not only cleaned your backside, but it also cleaned your front side, and it oscillated. So you can imagine, I was telling him how I use the front end quite often.
Ben seems like the type of guy that would not handle that well. Like, what was his response to that statement?
Yeah. Did he put down his Bible and walk away, or?
He just started making out with me. I guess it turned him on. I don't know.
Even better.
Wow, that's great.
So that's probably why it didn't work out. Oh man,
this is very interesting.
So I got some stuff for you too. So first of all, did I hear that your dog is named Darla?
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So we're all doggy lovers here. This is great. So Bachelor in Paradise just obviously started, and we know that you're coming later, and you probably can't talk about the dates that you go on or who you have interest in, etc. But can you talk a little bit about? Did you watch the first episode?
Yeah, I did.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what are some initial takeaways from that first episode?
I will say I wish that I would have known what had happened that night before I came in.
Uh-oh.
Because,
That's
yeah.
great foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Seriously.
so that would have been helpful. But, I clearly it was a lot of attention on Lace and Chad. And I think I was blown away by, Chad's actions. And I think he's hilarious. I think he's, kind of off his rocker, but he cracks me up. I think that he, has some things he needs to work out, but it was an entertaining episode. I feel bad for, Sarah, poor Sarah, who
Yeah.
he was
Oh,
talking
that
crap
was
about.
that was the part where I was like, this is not editing. You just don't say
No.
shit like that.
Right. Yeah, you do not exactly. But the guy pooped his pants on TV.
So, to be clear, that was a poop, not a pee, right?
That was,
No, it was
that was
poop.
poop.
Yeah.
It was
Oh my god, that's even worse. That's even worse.
Man, I've been really drunk and passed out like that. I've never shit myself though. I didn't
No.
know that was a thing that happens.
Oh, thank God. He had to have been blacked out. I mean,
he was hammered. So a couple follow-up questions on just the experience. And so, where are you guys in Mexico? Like, what was that resort like? Because it looks really nice on camera, but what was it like in person?
we're in Sayulita. It's called Sayulita. It's like about an hour from Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
It's hot. It is very hot. I mean, I have really long, thick hair, and I constantly was just like holding it up, putting it in a ponytail. It's miserable. There's no AC, so there's fans, but I mean, you can't have, you can't have the ice really from Mexico. So you drink a bottle of water and it, gets hot in 5 minutes. So it's just, yeah, it's so hot and uncomfortable.
Is it true that Chris Harrison and the rest of the crew don't stay at this same resort as you guys?
Actually, a lot of the producers do. Some don't.
Okay.
And they, drive to the set. But like the main producer, Alon, he stayed there. A lot of them do because they like to kind of feel like they're in it with us, and it just makes the show better, and they can, get better footage, and yeah, so they do. A lot of them do stay on set.
And you kind of saw Chad when he was walking away too at the end of this last episode, the premiere, like going by where there's the tents. It seemed like there was a huge setup behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's where like the trailers are. I think they have, some crew in there. It's probably air conditioned in there. There's one interview room, and I was so excited every time I have to go to an interview because it was AC, and you would just sit there and have the air blowing in your face for however long you could. So you had to go back out.
You should have just kept telling him, hey, I got some more stuff to say.
Yeah, like actually, yeah. They're like, okay, you're done. I'm like, are you sure? I could cry a little bit. Okay, stay.
Let me back in. So the big star too always seems to be the bartender now. I feel like he's the guy. It's George, right? Or Jorge? Nice.
He's amazing. He is like the sweetest guy. The moment I got there, I went over there. I was pretty much, I mean, I had quite a few beverages while I was there because it was just a stressful. You'll see, it was very stressful, and I took a lot of tequila shots with Jorge, and he was so sweet. He told me about his family and how he got to be on the show, and he is like genuinely the best guy, and it's just so funny that he's like a character on the show now.
That's
great bartender too.
About the guys that are on the show, were there any certain guys that you were hoping would be there? Obviously, you really don't know who's going to be there, correct? Or do you? Because you guys talk so much.
Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to. You don't know everybody, and they bring this cast this year was actually huge. They had so many people on; it was crazy. But for the most part, things get around. But you just hope. And you tell the producers like who you're interested in, and I think the whole point is to see if the person you're interested in is also interested in you, and they'll set that up. They're kind of trying to play matchmaker because you're supposed to be falling in love here.
So following up on that, now I want to know how Evan got invited.
I honestly don't know. I can't answer that. I'm not sure. It's interesting for sure.
The thing is Chad definitely seems he could be a bit of a dick, obviously. But also Evan, I mean, we talked about this on when we recapped the after the final rose. It was great, or was it the men's hall or the after final rose, where they show Evan and they show the video of him saying he didn't push Chad. And I'm like, I told Ian back then, I go, that guy, he's like trying to get.
He had it coming for him.
Yeah, he was like instigating.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not saying he deserves any like to get beat up or whatever Chad wanted to do, but don't act like you didn't push the guy. And then he said he didn't even move, and it's like, well, he's a lot bigger than you, you know?
Right, and he also was talking about him in his little comedy skit. Like he was asking for that.
Oh yeah, don't even get you started on that shit. Where he said I was doing stand-up comedy. He wasn't doing. That's not
Right.
stand-up comedy. What? So who? Evan? Does Evan know somebody? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but he doesn't seem to fit. Ian and I talk about this all the time. He just doesn't seem to fit. I don't see any of the women going, "Oh yes, fuck yeah, Evan's here." This is.
I honestly, like, my only guess would be that maybe somebody did say they were interested, or they have their reasons. They know, they have a whole plan, and they know it before you even get there. So I have no idea, why they asked him to come, but
It looks like
he finds love.
I was going to say, it looks like, according to the rumors mills, that he may end up with someone too. So, I mean, we can't necessarily comment on that here unless you have anything to add, Leah.
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
What about some of the girls did say he looks a lot better in person? So
Yeah, I think so. I think he does look at. I mean, I don't know. I felt like I looked really bad on camera too. People always come up and say, "Gosh, you look so much better in person." I'm like, "Oh, great." But I definitely think he's not terrible looking. I mean, I think he's cute. He's just not my type. So hopefully, he's somebody else's type.
Definitely. And then if you've been watching this franchise for a while, there was a thing called Bachelor Pad, right?
Uh-huh.
Which was for what? I think the prize was like $250,000
Yeah,
or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So, and the big prize on Paradise is love, right? Like, how does that work? So you're talking about the producers, you kind of go through the process of, hey, is there anybody you're interested in? Like, we're thinking about inviting you to Paradise. Can you just explain kind of the process of getting on that show?
Yeah, it's just they contact you and see if you have any interest in anybody, or if you're willing to see if you could have interest in anybody. If I think I don't know, because like they had people that got eliminated night one on my show there, so I don't even think it was fan favorites or anything. But if they, again, I think they're trying to play matchmaker. So if they talk to a lot of us, and if there are couples that have mutual interest in each other, I think they, will bring them both on.
Was there one person that stood out prior to going on the show that you were really hoping would be there?
Yes, there was.
Can you name who that is?
You'll see.
Okay. We definitely don't want to get you in trouble.
good tease. Good tease.
I am, yeah.
Okay, I want to just real quick before we wrap up, I want to know, on JoJo's season, who were you rooting for to end up with JoJo? You see you taking pictures with Robbie, hanging out with Robbie now, but who did you really think would be good for her? Or,
I think long term Robbie. I think Jordan is a smoke show, so I think they look really cute together and everything, but I was definitely Team Robbie for sure, but yeah, it didn't work out for a reason, I guess.
And what about people? A lot of people say Jordan seems phony or is phony and all that stuff. What is your take on that?
I wouldn't say he's phony. I mean, we all have our pasts. People can dig up crap about all of us, and I don't really think it's fair to judge anybody, based off their past. I mean, heck, if it's JoJo's decision and if it doesn't work out, that's kind of on her, and that was up to her for choosing him after, kind of what she knew. And, I don't think he's phony. He may have used the show to, advance his career. I don't know. A lot of people do, though, honestly. Like, I didn't. I think I am, kind of not awkward, but I'm not trying to, get fame out of it. I think everything happens for a reason, and I'll utilize, every chance I can get. But I think Jordan, at the end of the day, does love JoJo, and I think, it can work if they focus on each other and not the fame aspect of it.
It seems to us that like more and more, the more we see Chad, his whole thing, like his shtick, was kind of that everybody else is phony, and they're all here for the wrong reasons. And then, I mean, especially after watching the Men Tell All and then the first episode of Bachelor in Paradise, Chad's whole thing seems to be that he's trying to get famous the most way he can possible. Like, oh
my gosh, it's ridiculous. And I mean, his Snapchats are hilarious, but yeah. And then the guy stands up and is trying to campaign to be the Bachelor.
Yeah. It's like the
it's
biggest case of projection I've ever seen. We're like, look at these guys. That guy does music, that guy does this, and it's like, yeah, and then you run an Instagram account and Snapchat account that you really want out there.
Exactly. And he's told me this before. He said, I'm just acting. Like, that's not who I really am.
Oh, yeah, not to mention anybody, I know some people that work around the show, and I asked him about that. I was like, it was that guy I really liked that, and he said, every time I've met him, he's nothing like that. I think it's just a big act. And I was like, I think it's an act too. I don't think he's that good. I was telling Ian on one of the other podcasts, it seems like he's funny, like when he's just doing whatever character he's doing. But then when he tries to say something clever, like on the Men Tell All, there's a lot of awkward times where he was trying to actually say something funny, and he's like not a funny guy when he's trying to say something funny. And it's just like, oh, okay. It just got like real awkward.
Awkward, yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting one for sure.
He definitely is. So, and then just kind of wrapping up on some of the guys from JoJo's season, Chase is a Colorado guy as well, right? Did you know him or chat with him prior to going on the show?
Yeah, I actually got to watch the Men Tell All with Robbie and Chase. A bunch of us got together and we watched it. Chase is awesome. Yeah, we actually went to the same college. I didn't know him, but a bunch of my girlfriends did. So it's a small world, and he might be the Bachelor. I don't really know. They haven't, we haven't found that out. I don't know. I'm sure they have chosen by now, but they won't announce it, I don't think, for a while.
Definitely. So
it's awesome.
It's safe to assume that you're rooting for both those guys then for Bachelor. But you mentioned that some of your friends knew Chase prior to the show. Did they comment on like what kind of guy he was like? He seemed very quiet and reserved for most of the season, and then he kind of came out of his shell towards the end.
Yeah, I think, I'm nothing near quiet or reserved. I am very outgoing and goofy, and they made me look like a wallflower until my last episode. So, I don't know him well enough. I heard, from girlfriends that he was just kind of a frat boy. That's what I got from him. He was just like your typical frat boy. So, when I hung out with him, he was really nice and fun, and, but I've only hung out with him one time. So, we'll see. I'm sure I'll see him again.
Definitely. You guys probably go to the same places, around the same people. And then the last one, so speaking of The Bachelor, who's going to be next? You have Robbie, you have Chase, but then you also probably have Luke. I think Luke was a fan favorite. What was your thoughts on Luke? Have you ever had a chance to meet him, or just kind of what you've heard?
I have not had the chance to meet Luke. I think he would be great for the role. He seems like he's, in a spot in his life where he's ready. He's old. He's on the older side of, just the other guys that are running. Yep. And, I just think he has his life together and he knows what he wants. And I don't think they've had a real country besides Farmer Chris. They haven't had like a country singer. I think it would be different. And I'm just not sure they would do two Denver guys back to back, like Colorado people, Ben and then Chase. And I don't know. I'm not sure if they'll make Robbie the Bachelor. I hope they don't, though.
Hope they don't. Yeah. What's up? Why is that?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I think you might have eyes on Robbie. I'm just throwing it out there.
Ian has cracked the case. All right, listen, Leah, we're really happy to have you on. You were a great guest. We want to try a lightning round, just like stupid, quick questions.
Okay.
If you want. These are just, doesn't matter.
Sure.
Now that you told us all the juice, you hate Lauren. That's a real thing. you and Robbie are married already. You got it. Ben is too religious, and you guys are allergic to the opposite types of fish. See how I threw in one real one, so now it seems like the other ones are real? Okay. All right, so let's do the quick lightning round. This might be a little clunky, but we'll go for it. Okay, so just first thing that comes to your head, what's your favorite drink?
Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Oh, God. Now you're asking me
Russian.
questions during the lightning round.
White Russian.
White Russian? Okay, what about non-alcoholic now that I'm curious?
Coconut water.
Okay. What's
White Russian, great answer. Sorry, Jeff. Back
It's
to
a
you.
lightning round, dickhead. Okay. Favorite activity?
Volleyball.
Okay. You played in high school or college or something?
High school. And, yeah, a little bit before high school. This is a terrible lightning round.
Okay. It's a slow lightning round. Outdoors or indoor activities? If you had to be outdoors or indoors?
Outdoors, for sure.
Okay. Football or basketball?
Football.
Go to a movie theater or Netflix?
Netflix.
Red or white wine?
Red.
Plan a vacation 3 months in advance or just pick up and go somewhere?
Pick up and go somewhere.
And this last one, I think we already know the answer to. Robbie or Jordan?
Robbie.
All right. First lightning round. Started slow, ended fine.
We picked that up towards the end. That was perfect.
I like when you give me choices. That's easier.
I just want to keep
Exactly.
doing Robbie or people now. That should be the next lightning round.
Yeah.
Robbie or Brad Pitt? Go.
Ooh.
Tough one.
Oh,
So, Leah, like Jeff said, this was a ton of fun, and we want to give you a chance to promote whatever you got going on, maybe something you're working on, or if you want to tell our listeners about your social media handles so they can follow you and keep tabs after we jump off.
Yeah, my social media is pretty easy. It's all the same. It's just at Leah Block. I'm very creative.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I'm trying to. I just like to make people laugh. So if they like good laughter and they like food, definitely follow me on Snapchat. I know this new thing with Instagram video is happening. I think it's great. I mean, I think it's genius for them to have done that, but there's no filters. It's like you can't do the dog. You can't, there's no halo. So
Not
yeah,
yet.
so, yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet, right.
Cool. Well, hey, we'll put your information in the show notes as well, so everybody can keep in touch with you. And again, thank you again so much for coming on the show. We look forward to seeing you on Paradise, and
Perfect.
maybe we can get you back on after that episode airs so we can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Sounds great.
Perfect.
for
Thanks so
having
much,
me.
Leah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you guys. Bye.
Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine, Bachelor, and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to animal rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission, to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Joe.